Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge. Sorry we're about a minute late. I was, in fact, working on that top button. Sometimes it's very tricky, as KC3 like to point out in the chat. Thanks for being in here, KC3. God, Reed Phillips, Aaron Taylor, Ryan Woods, Carson K, Patrick Jabor, Matt Gibbs are in here. Hit the like button if you could. Before we bring in quite a star-studded cast here on a Monday, we do have to look at the recap screen. I'll tell you what, look at the left side, not the right side, because 7-7, listen, that's not a bad record, especially when you consider one of those wins was a plus 183 ball. We had a plus 112 from Mackenzie Brooks. So we did pretty well considering all the plus money plays. Listen, we had a plus 260 parlay. We had plus 125 from buckets and then some plus money plays from Brasco, but we still got to do better than 7-7. And we're going to do that, ladies and gentlemen, with a very special championship Monday show. Look here at what we've got. We got Chip Patterson. We got Mike McClure. We got Zack Cimini. And we got Tom Casale. Mackenzie Brooks is at the airport. She might try to duck in here, but we've got a Fab Five right here, really a Fab Four plus one. Chip Patterson, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm great. Don't sell yourself short. And you know, you saw we needed to look at the strong side, not the right side. Left side, strong side. Remember, the Titans fans know where we're at. But look, what do we do when we fall down on the mat? Do we just like limp out of the ring? No, we do not.
No.
We step back up and we throw haymakers because it's the last night of the season and we're not going out quiet.
Last night of the season, Tom Casale, how you feeling? I mean, you have been going at it since early November, if memory serves, coming off a college football season, right into college basketball season. Last game of the year. How you feeling, buddy?
Feeling good. Yeah, I wish it was early November. You find more value than you're going to in tonight's game, I think. It's down to one game here. Yeah, I mean, this is it for me, right? I'm like Santa Claus. After tonight, I go away for a while, and then I'll be back in college football season, college basketball season, but it's been a great year. I always enjoy college basketball, enjoy the tournament, no matter how it turns out. So it's been fun.
All right, I'll tell you what, we got Mike and we got Zach in here as well. And we're putting up a post from Tom Casale. He said, just close the tabs for all the college basketball metric sites I use throughout the season. Our time may be done for now, but in early November, there will be an Albany Sacred Heart game to break down. We will rise again. I love to see that post from Tom Casale over on Twitter. Zach, let me ask you this. Mike, I want to ask you this as well, and we'll go around the horn real quick before we get into a ton of college basketball picks. We got some MLB picks as well, and of course, we got all of your picks in the chat. Zach, what's your main takeaway from the two Final Four games? Like, what is the thing that you're kind of still thinking about? Is it the Duke collapse? Like, what is it?
It definitely is the Duke collapse. I'll tell you what, everyone was watching that game. I think it's the most live viewers in a long time for a Final Four. But what caught my eye, you're watching this comeback, and even when Juwan Roberts gets that foul call there, he's going to the line. I was in disbelief. He's at the free throw line to take the lead. So that's what really caught my attention. It was so fast. The way Duke was unprepared for the press was really shocking. But that can happen when you're blowing teams out all season long, and then you finally get in one of those situations. It finally came back to haunt them.
Yeah, Mike, I want to get your reaction as well. I do want to point out, Mike, you and I will be on the Masters DFS show tonight at 7 o'clock on this channel. So everybody that's in the chat right now, please tune in at 7 because we're going to have a lot of information to give out there. Mike, your reaction to those two Final Four games?
They were incredible. All we heard about was the chalk was ruining the tournament. I think the tournament's been fantastic this season. So I get that we want the Cinderella. I think that's what the first weekend is for, and that's fun. I'm glad we got these games, and I cannot believe Duke's collapse. Just a series of improbable events. But really, Florida had that same thing too, and their comeback against Texas Tech. So one of these teams is going to really be a national title with a very improbable comeback win. I think it's a great story. Looking forward to this game tonight for sure.
Joe Neuenfeld says he's still in disbelief. Ray Brown says, I went to sleep. Duke was up 5 with 36 seconds left. They were up 14 with 8 minutes left. I think they were up 7 with less than a minute and a half left. Chip Patterson, your reaction?
Yeah, let's sort of distill two things. It took about 8 minutes for Houston to score 9 points. They scored 9 points in the final 33 seconds of the game. The beginning of the game, all Duke, just making life absolute hell on Houston. Because we're going to look, of course, at Houston's defense and Duke's offense, but But the other side of that was incredible. I just thought that Houston had so much more confidence. They had so much more juice. And this Duke team was really lost, not being able to get the ball in bounds, not being able to get the looks they wanted. Just one made field goal in the final 8 minutes. Just a group that was out of sorts. And I think of all the people that were involved in this, I think John Shire, this is going to eat at him for a long time until he cuts down nets at the Final Four. He's going to think about how he wishes that his team was more prepared for that switch everything full court press. Because if they get the ball successfully in bounds, maybe just one more time, then I think that Duke might be playing here on Monday night.
Zach, go ahead.
Yeah, anytime something like this happens, we always look at the end of the second half. But this also happened in the first half, and that's where it always catches you. They should have had a double-digit lead at the end of the first half, allowed a couple of threes in the final minute. And yeah, those were a couple of key possessions when you think about what happened in the second half.
Every possession matters. Every bet matters. There's a lot of baseball bets in the chat. We're going to go to a lot of college basketball. We're going to have some Major League Baseball, but I do want to put some of the baseball cappers on notice that I might go to you sometime within the next 15, 20 minutes to answer some of the chat questions as it relates to MLB, because we've got an afternoon game, Yankees, Tigers, and we've got a host of games the rest of the way. All right, let's start with some college basketball picks. Mike McClure. We're talking Houston, and we're talking one of your tailor-made unders.
Yeah, it's a first half team total under on the Houston side. Just fading the 33rd point. Look, this is a team that has started slow in a lot of games. It's the style of play. It really does matter how this game is going to be officiated. It is a big, big contrast in styles. Personally, though, I think that Florida can handle it with the guard play. I think that the combination of Walter Clayton Jr. and Elijah Martin, Martin is strong enough, physical enough. I think that he's going to be okay with some of the pressure that's put on here, but I do think that it does adopt Houston's pace, at least early in this game. I think that Florida might struggle to score points early, but I think this game is just a little slower moving in the first half. Going to fade Houston's 33rd point here. I really think the numbers should be 31.5 in the first half for them. So going to go under on the team total for Houston here.
All right. We've got a lot of different picks on the show. We're starting off with a team total under. Zach, I go to you because we're looking at an over for you with respect to Houston, but it's just with an individual player. And frankly, it could be in the first half, could be in the second half. Talk to me about Emmanuel Sharp.
Yeah, Emmanuel Sharp not really shooting the ball consistently in the tournament, but he's getting it done. So I'm going to go over 14.5 points. And we know Houston's not really an offensive team, but opponent like Florida, I think their scoring is going to rise somewhat, being in the national title game tonight. You look at Florida, their issues in this tournament has led to a lot of close calls against UConn, against Texas Tech down 9, even against Auburn. At the start of the second half, they trailed 49-40 with 17 minutes to go. So their last 4 opponents in the tournament have scored in the range of 71 and 79 points. I look at a player like Emmanuel Sharp. He's a great spot-up shooter. We saw him create a little bit against Duke off the dribble. And at the beginning of non-conference play, he was the top 3-point shooter in the country, shooting it at 60%. Obviously, that came down throughout the year, but you give him open looks. He's a clutch player. We saw what he did in the final 30 seconds against Duke. I think you also look at him getting to the free throw line, 87% free throw shooter. It's actually been a catalyst for him against Purdue. He made 5 free throws. Against Duke, he made 5 free throws. So I think Sharp continues. He's been very consistent in his last 3 games in the tournament, where he scored 17, 16, and 16 points. And it's the same with his shot selection, where he shot 14, 14, and 13 shots. So if he keeps up with that consistency, I think this is the first game of the tournament he can eclipse 20 points. Let's go over 14.5 points for Emmanuel Sharp.
All right, and I happen to know that we have at least one other capper on the show that likes that Emmanuel Sharp play, but we'll have to wait and hear about whether that's from me. I don't have a pick. Chip or Tom Casale. By the way, BetMGM has an odds boost token for tonight's March matchup championship. Simply log into BetMGM to play a wager and select the March matchup odds boost token to get a boost on your winnings. It's super easy. I will say this about BetMGM. I've said it before and I'll say it again. They make finding the odds boosts and the promotions a lot easier than some of the other sites. So something to keep in mind. And I will say some people have found Mike McClure's play at 33.5 as opposed to 32.5 at very reasonable juice. So if you're shopping around, maybe you can find that 33.5 as well. Let's turn to some baseball just for a second, and we'll get back to college basketball. This one's interesting, and hand up if anybody has any commentary on this one, because a lot of people in the chat are asking about this Yankees-Tigers game. We've got Matt Severance, who likes the Tigers plus 1.5 at minus 118. It's Rodon and Casey Mize on the mound in that one. And then we're going with JLC with the Blue Jays Red Sox over 8.5 runs at minus 122. Red Sox been smashing the ball lately. I guess JLC playing that angle among others. Again, Tigers plus 1.5, Blue Jays Red Sox over 8.5 runs. Let's go back to the crew here. Mike, any thoughts or really anybody on this? I mean, it's an afternoon game, which makes it all that much more appealing on this Yankees-Tigers game.
Yeah, it's it's a winter game, essentially. It's really cold, 40 degrees, 15-mile-per-hour winds, just great pitching conditions. Look, I think it's possible it could snow. We're talking rain and snow potentially in this game. So I get it on looking to the home underdog at 1.5. It's going to be a great pitching conditions. Big strikeout upside, Casey Mize on the mound for Detroit. Having said all that, no strong opinion one way or the other on the play.
And
I get it. But.
Yeah, from a weather standpoint, I mean, I have a first 5 that I'm about to give out. It looks like it's going to be really cold in the Northeast, across the East Coast, right?
Sia, it's awful.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're up there. Oh, you're in Connecticut.
Yes, I'm in Connecticut right now. It was 85 in Raleigh, North Carolina before I got on a plane on Saturday morning. It is 38 and rainy right now outside my window. I mean, I'll tell you what, I will be so prepped for the title game tonight on CBS Sports HQ. I have zero distractions around town. I will be locked and loaded with stats and facts and props and picks.
All right. Well, we got more facts and stats and props and picks coming up right after this message from our partners.
We need your sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
We're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. It's a college basketball intensive championship Monday, but we just gave out a couple of baseball picks, and I'm going to give out one more. Rangers first 5 money line. I've only given out one first 5 so far this year, and it was, a week and a half ago when I faded Miles Michaelis, and it didn't work out. He had a decent outing, and then yesterday he got absolutely scorched by Boston, so maybe I should have gone just right back to it. I'm going to fade Steele here for the Cubs. Now, this isn't as much a fade on Steele as it is a play on Eovaldi. And if I'm getting plus money on a Rangers first 5, I will mention, by the way, Rangers first 5 money line plus 110 is the play. I will mention, well, Chicago is going to be really cold and rainy, and I think the wind is blowing in. There's going to be a shortage of runs. I think the over-under in this game is like 6. But I do expect Justin Steele to probably stay relatively cold, no pun intended, through 3 games. He hasn't been very good. Tough competition, Dodgers, Diamondbacks. He had to play the A's, but that was in Sacramento, and we know about those stadium dimensions. So I don't want to put it all on Steele. But what I do like is Eovaldi through two starts has been absolutely amazing, and that should be no surprise. So I just like getting the plus money here with the Rangers on the road. I think this should be closer to minus 110 each way. So give me Eovaldi in the first 5 over Justin Steele. Rangers first 5 money line at plus 110. Mike, I hate to ask you because I don't know the answer to the question, and you're taught in law school and as a trial attorney, don't ask a question you don't know the answer to. But I got to ask you, any thoughts on this Rangers game? Because when I looked at the line and I looked at the plus money, I thought to myself, I understand the Rangers aren't hitting well and the Cubs are, but I just like the pitching matchup.
Yes, so the pitching matchup does lean a little bit in your favor. I think it's a tough game just because of the weather. It's an outlier weather game, and those situations, I will generally lean towards that home team that's more comfortable in that environment, just for that simple reason, right? I do show a little value on the Rangers money line on the game currently, but I also wouldn't be surprised if that game gets postponed today. That's just depends on the timing of it. It's going to be 28 degrees with the wind. I think you're probably 15 to 20 degree wind chills with some precipitation. I don't know. Maybe Chicago might play it, but it's possible that it gets postponed.
I do like what you said about the weather and the home team probably being more comfortable in those conditions than a team like the Texas Rangers. So again, you don't have to take all the picks. I do like this pick at plus money. But yeah, the weather conditions make it a little bit interesting because we don't know how that's going to play out. But let's get to some more college basketball picks. Chip Patterson, you've got a flood of picks for us, and you finally have the Final Four floor.
All right, here we go. So we have to look at what Houston did and to be able to find some offensive success. And what they were doing is they were hunting matchups. And a lot of this had to do with Kelvin Sampson realizing the length and realizing the physicality that they had to be able to find something that was going to work to free things up offensively. Because we know that Houston is the best three-point shooting team that Houston has had under Kelvin Sampson, but it's not always aesthetically the prettiest thing. But they always kept probing and probing and probing till they found something. I think that Houston's going to be able to find something again. I'm not sure it's going to happen early, but over the course of 40 minutes, I think the Cougars are going to be able to find the matchups that they want. I think they're going to be able to take advantage of those, and they're going to be able to win this game, claiming the program's first national championship. So I will take Houston plus that 1.5. Now, I'm going to go a little bit matchup, but then also a little bit of historical trends with this next one, because as we know, Houston's defense has held every single tournament opponent at least 10 points under their season average. Well, Florida, 85.3 points per game. I think they're going to be held under 70. I think that this is going to be a spot where the Cougars' combination of defensive excellence and pace is going to be able to hold Florida to literally a number that they have only hit once. Florida's been above 70 points in every single game except for that 64-44 loss to Tennessee. I think that with Houston, we are going to find another lower scoring game. Again, two factors, Houston's own pace, but then also their defensive excellence. Historical trend here, the under. It's 10-4 in national championship games dating back to 2010. And if you want to consider the soft factors, the fatigue, anything that's just left over from just pouring it out, Florida overcoming a deficit, and obviously Houston's huge comeback. Would not sure in terms of first half, second half, when this is going to go. Both teams have a lot of spurtability. That's a scientific term, spurtability. But I think over the course of 40 minutes, we do end up going back to the historical trend. This thing goes under 141.5. Could not agree more with my guy, Zack Cimini. I'm also on Emmanuel Sharp points over. We were on it in the national semifinals as well. And what I like about Sharp is that he has been fearless in this tournament. He has been the one that is willing to step into three-pointers. He is the one who is tasked by Kelvin Sampson with taking it to the rack and being the engine of the offense. And then, as Zach mentioned, he goes to the rim, gets fouled. He's a great free throw shooter. It was at the free throw line that we cashed our points over last game. I think that we will be able to do that once again. And then finally, one of the most impressive players, maybe the MVP of Houston's win, I'm going to go with J'Wan Roberts. Yes, the 61% free throw shooter who bangs down 2 free throws in a pressure situation to give Houston the lead. Like, that is incredible. But it was just what he did at both ends of the floor, offensively, defensively, cleaning up on the glass. Listening to some of his interviews during the off day, it is so clear that the fifth-year senior who spent all 5 years with Kelvin Sampson at Houston, that he's just on another level. And so while his points might be difficult against that deep Florida front line, offensively, defensively, I just got to think this guy's going to have double-digit rebounds again. 6.5, that number is disrespectful to what J'Wan Roberts is going to bring to his last game as a college player. So, yeah, we're going to go J'Wan Roberts over 6.5 boards.
I love when we get the disrespectful take. I love it. Those come in more often than not. And I do want to hold everybody's feet to the fire before we get out of here. And Tom, I know I got to get to your pick as well. But I do want to get maybe an unofficial winner. You guys don't usually give out winner plays because you're in the weeds, right? That's what we do here with some of the props and some of the team total overs and unders. But I definitely want to get who's going to win. And I know we have a poll in the chat that was out there too. But type in the chat whether you think it's going to be Houston or Florida. Tom Casale, did I get to you? No, I missed you. Houston team total. You're going a different direction, correct?
Yeah, I'm going to be on an island tonight. I'm going to push back on the pace argument a little bit. We know Houston plays slow, but they play really slow in 2 different occasions. One, when they have a second half lead, okay? And they had that a lot this year. And listen, if Houston's up by 8 or 10 in the second half, they won't get to 70. I'll admit that right now. I don't know if that's going to happen. The other time they play really slow is if you want to play slow with them. Their last 3 opponents, Purdue, Tennessee, Duke, all want to play slow. I would say turn on the Gonzaga tape. Show me the team that ranked 360th in pace. They went up and down the court and looked for open threes in transition. They played 8 games this year against teams that play a similar pace to Florida. 6 times they went over this number. Another time they had 69 against Auburn. Only the first Arizona game was really low scoring. Then you look at Florida. See, to me, Florida's not a shutdown defense. I think they play pretty good defense, but they're not Duke. And they've allowed over 70 in 11 of their last 12 games. I think there's going to be more opportunities for Houston to score in this game. One thing I haven't heard mentioned on TV or much the last couple of days that I think is really concerning to me if you're a Florida fan. 69 turnovers in this tournament. Listen, if they have 15 turnovers tonight, it's going to be game over. They've been sloppy with the basketball. So, listen, I'm not saying you're going to mistake Houston for Alabama tonight. I'm not saying they're going to score 85 points. This is probably going to come down to the wire here. But I do like Houston's chances of getting over 70. And if you look at teams, listen, they didn't shut down Auburn. They didn't shut down Alabama. Teams in the Big 12 don't play like Florida. They play slower paced. So I just think this is going to be a different kind of game tonight. Maybe I'm wrong, but I like Houston to get to 71 points, win or lose.
All right. Chip, we're getting somewhat vigorous head nod, do you think? And maybe that's a head nod because you like Houston tonight. So I'm going to ask you first, did you just like that over, or do you like Houston tonight, or both?
Oh, I think that as Tom mentioned at the very beginning of this, we are going to be dealing with the finest of margins here. Like we have been pouring ourselves into this sport for all of these months, and nobody is coming to the table at the national championship game being like, guys, I got a 7-point edge on this.
Right.
I mean, we're going to be talking about the behaviors of 18 to 23-year-olds in a high pressure situation where someone's going to how many times, especially with a court like this, do you see somebody catch a ball in the corner and then the ref says your heel was out of bounds, right? Just like small spatial awareness. So I think that his point about Florida, the reason why I got the vigorous head nod was that in my notepad, as we were sitting there in studio breaking down the semifinals, as I was watching in the first half, I said, Florida's 2-point defense is Swiss cheese because Auburn got whatever they wanted. I mean, it was just like Janai Broome was taking over down low. They were able to get good looks outside. They were getting good runs to the rim. So the interior defense for Florida is going to be something to watch and going to be maybe one of the first things that Houston starts to, kind of scratch at to see if they can open it up.
All right. We have this line kind of moving a little bit. I thought it was +1 a little bit ago. Maybe some books still have it at +1, but at BetMGM, you can get Houston +1.5. Zach, I'm going to go to you next in terms of picking a winner here. Again, these are unofficial plays, but before I do want to mention Chip Patterson. You're going to be all over HQ halftime, post game. So everybody can check you out on HQ. And Mike, you're going to be on HQ a lot. I think pre-game. I'm not sure during the game or after the game as well, but you can check these guys out on CBS Sports HQ tonight. And a lot of times those are like kind of simulcast and broadcast on YouTube, CBS like YouTube channels as well. So definitely look out for them pre and post and during the game. All right, Zach, what do we like here? If you had to pick a winner, Florida or Houston?
No, this is in terms of bets. This is just rooting interest. I didn't want to bet this on this, but I'm going to root for Houston. I'm rooting for Kelvin Sampson to finally get it done. Older coach. I think he's 69. He's going to be turning 70 years old. This is his chance. Could be his final moment, and they've earned to getting to this big stage right now. So I'm going to root for Houston tonight. In Florida, they've had their flaws. I wish Texas Tech would have took them down for me, but Florida's had their flaws all tournament.
That's true. And Mike, I feel like Florida's been so reliant on Clayton hitting big shots. I don't know. I just feel like there's variance there. Maybe Houston clips him here. I think Houston's going to win personally, but your opinion matters more than mine. So let's get you and then Tom to close us out on who wins this game.
Yes, tough game. For full disclosure, I am not betting the side at all. No interest in that. But super high variance environment when you talk about the contrast in styles. I like the Florida side still. You talk about Walter Clayton doing special things. To me, that's just kind of what he does. I'm always going to default to guard play that can go get a bucket whenever they need it. And that is truly what Florida is able to do. I still just have question marks in late game. I mean, maybe LJ Cryer can get it done for them, but I'm going to lean towards the team from the better conference that has the ability to go score.
Tom, before you close us out, I do want to mention Danny Brasco was in the chat. He's looking for a cricket play for the people.
Danny Wickets, let's go.
Danny Wickets, he says, KC3, I was just looking for a live spot on Mumbai Indians, but Kohli is clobbering them. Might have to look at RCB, whatever that is, side or stay away altogether. Man, I love Danny Brasco on the show, but I love him in the chat just as much with all the cricket plays. And Dano says, Jose Honorado has tennis picks in the Discord. Ignore if you hate money. I do want to mention, if you're in here and you're not a SportsLine member, go to sportsline.com/join. And if you type in the promo code winners, you get 60% off the annual plan. Once you're a member of SportsLine, you get all the picks and the model plays and DFS plays and the articles, all the Masters coverage and all that stuff. But you also get into our Discord. Obviously, that's a free perk of being a SportsLine member. So get into our Discord. It's not just basketball and NBA and the mainstream sports. We cover golf, we cover NASCAR, we cover UFC with Danny Brasco and others, and Gipper's Picks is always in there. So make sure you're a part of the Discord as well. Tom Casale, you're closing out your college basketball season. You're closing out this show today on Championship Monday. Who's going to win, Houston or Florida?
Well, yeah, I couldn't agree more with Chip. I mean, listen, this is a dead even game. It's hard to find an angle when I'm arguing for Houston over. So it's really a dead even game. I don't have an analytical view. When I was watching the Duke game, it reminded me a little bit when Virginia beat Purdue when they had no business winning that game. None. Mm-hmm. And Virginia finally got over the hump in the title game. I just wonder, is it Calvin Sampson's year? Because they had no business beating Duke, none. And I'm with Mike. I think Florida's a slightly better team here, but I'm going to side with Houston. They ride the Duke win. I think it's going to be a really close, competitive, fun game to watch, and Calvin Sampson cuts down the nets.
All right. Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say Houston by 8, just to be able to clip this and play it tomorrow. But I do think Houston's going to win, and I do think they could win by 8. BGM78 says, I have a plus 6,000 for Florida to win it all back from November, and Houston is my hometown team. Oh, wow. He's got a lot of things to root for and root against. All right, I'm rooting for a show like this every single day. This has been absolutely amazing. Let's take a look at the recap screen before we get out of here. I'm on the Rangers first 5 money line at plus 110. Keep an eye on the weather for that one. Mike McClure, Houston first half team total under 32.5 at minus 111. You may be able to find 33.5s out there at similar juice. Chip Patterson, Houston plus 1.5 at minus 110. Houston, Florida under 141.5 at minus 115. And Emmanuel Sharp over 14.5 points at minus 105. And then finally from Chip, Jawan Roberts over 6.5 rebounds at minus 116. Tom Casale, Houston team total over 70.5 at minus 118. We got another play for Emmanuel Sharp. It's from Zack Cimini. Emmanuel Sharp over 14.5 points, minus 105. We certainly have synergy there with him and Chip Patterson. SportsLine picks. We go to baseball. Tigers plus 1.5. That's an afternoon game, late afternoon. That's from Matt Severance. Tigers plus 1.5 is minus 118. And then we've got the Blue Jays and the Red Sox over 8.5 runs at minus 122. That one courtesy of JLC. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy your Championship Monday. We got a ton of content coming. Mike and I have so much Masters stuff to cover via the Early Wedge and on HQ and CBS Sports Network this entire week. But please join us tonight at 7 o'clock as we handle the DFS slate. And, of course, pregame, postgame, during the game. You're going to see guys like Chip Patterson, Mike McClure, probably Tom and Zach, pretty much everywhere across all the CBS Sports platforms. On behalf of Zach, on behalf of Tom Casale, on behalf of Chip Patterson, Mike McClure, all of you, and Ben on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. It's been a great Championship Monday. Let's have a profitable day. Let's have a positive day, whether we're betting or not. We'll see you next time on the Early Edge. We rest our case.